Hi folks, another Safe Act and Gun News update here from Van Prepper, and I've got some big things on the list for today, but I'm going to keep the biggest one for last, and it's an awesome story for gun news, for gun rights advocates all over the country and around the world. First thing I've got is on some Safe Act stuff. Assemblyman Kenneth Zebrowski, who is a Democrat from New York City, a liberal Democrat from New York City, has sponsored a bill that would make it would allow for pistol owners and gun owners in New York City to transfer temporarily for up to 30 days their guns, and this is for safety reasons, because when newspapers like the Journal last year, that they published these interactive website, these interactive maps that show where all the CCW holders are, and then these CCW holders go on vacation, it makes them targets for being robbed, people who are scoping out their houses. So on the surface, this legislation looks great. It's something that we should be, kind of embracing, except that this Kenneth Zebrowski clown voted for the SAFE Act, and he's only doing this to try and kind of cater to gun rights advocates who are angry with him. He'll probably easily win re-election anyway, but don't be fooled by this. Here's the real problem. The problem isn't that you need to make it okay for us to temporarily transfer our firearms. The problem is you need to make it illegal for any municipality to not just make it legal for them to not release the information, which is the first problem, because under the Freedom of Information Act they have to release it, but make it illegal. Make these lists private lists so that people don't know who has them. That's the real answer to this. You know how my house won't be a target? When nobody knows that I have guns. When nobody knows that I'm a CCW holder. Stop releasing that information to people whose business it is none of their business. And these lists are being used by criminals to scope out houses, which houses to rob, which houses to loot, to go, because they know they're going to find valuable guns there. Nonsense. Kenneth Zebrowski, you still suck, buddy. You can propose any legislation you want. You're not fooling me. Next, DEC Chairman Joe Martins. This guy is going around the state in all the different regions, and he's meeting with hunter and sportsman groups, just representatives of those groups, in an attempt to kind of smooth things over and make Governor Cuomo look more agreeable to the Second Amendment crowd. The problem is that no straight Second Amendment group representatives are being invited to these meetings, because what this really is an effort by the Cuomo administration through Joe Martins, and believe me, he has been directed by Governor Cuomo to do this, to divide and conquer those of us who are pro-gun right. He wants to separate the hunters and sportsmen from the straight Second Amendment guys. Hunters and sportsmen, stop. You are the only reason the Second Amendment exists has nothing to do with hunting and sporting. If that's all you do, that's great. But don't check my rights at the door because you don't use yours for self-defense or for the inevitable, what I think is rise of tyranny in this country, and our ability to rise up and throw off the shackles of an oppressive government should it come to that. Okay? Second Amendment guys, we got to stop fighting amongst each other. I hate ammo hoarders. Shut your cake hole, man. We're all on board with the same thing. If you don't like what I do, so what? Our differences are tiny compared to the differences that we have with the groups that are attacking the Second Amendment. Because believe me, if you're a hunter, sportsman, straight up guy, and that's all you care about, and you don't have any problem with the SAFE Act, believe me, when they take care of all the assault weapons and everything else, they'll start coming for the stuff you got and start coming for your hunting rights. Don't think that this agenda doesn't end in only one place, because it does. It ends in one place. It ends with every American citizen being disarmed. Don't be fooled by this nonsense, and don't let them divide and conquer us. Finally, huge news again out of the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals in California. On the heels of that decision last month that affirmed the right for self-defense, the right to keep and bear arms outside of the home for self-defense, in the case in San Diego, involving San Diego, there's another huge decision released yesterday. And this decision was in, I believe the case was Richards versus Prieto, or Prieto, I don't know how you say the guy's name, but it's, Prieto is the sheriff, Prieto is the sheriff of Yolo County. And this case was argued at the same time and before the same justices that ruled last month in the San Diego case, and they tried to argue, look, the San Diego case has nothing to do with us. Our restrictions are very different. They're reasonable, blah, 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 blah. At the end of the day, the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals came down firmly on the side of the Second Amendment again and sent this case. They overturned the ruling in this case at the original local court, sent it back to the local court and said, you have to decide. You cannot decide the case the way that you decided it, because the right to bear arms does not stop, and you can't put unreasonable restrictions on it for outside of the home. The right to carry a concealed weapon, that permit cannot be held up under some ridiculous standard or burden of proof that the citizen has, because we don't have that burden of proof. I don't need to demonstrate to you a need to exercise a right. It's a right. You need to show me a reason, a very good reason, that I can't have and exercise that right. Our government's got that all screwed up, but the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, stunningly, twice now in a month, is helping the cause of the Second Amendment and pro-Second Amendment and pro-gun rights groups, and that is really good news. And I just want to say a big, just a huge thank you to Attorney Alan Gura. He is the guy who has been bringing the lead attorney on all these cases, both the cases argued before this court, the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, and he is the guy who argued the cases against Chicago's just outright ban on handguns and carry concealed permits, and the case before the Supreme Court that started everything, started this whole ball rolling, Heller versus the District of Columbia. So just Alan Gura is doing an awesome job, and just everywhere he goes, he wins gun rights cases. So awesome job. We love you, Alan Gura. I've never met you, and I'll never meet you, but me and every other pro-gun guy, every other pro-Second Amendment guy in the country just loves what you're doing. I'm Van Prepper. You guys have an awesome day. Happy shooting.